Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to celebrate the 55th season of the Nordson Academic Challenge. I am Rob Powers. I'll be your host. The challenge these past 55 years, the same as it's always been. 3 local high school teams compete for points by answering questions. We have math, science, history, a few other topics as well. So let's hear it one more time for today's teams. Cuyahoga Falls, Shaker Heights, and St. Ed's. Every team will be playing for a chance to make it onto our leaderboard. At the end of the season, the 3 teams at the top of the leaderboard will be back to play for our top prize of a $6,000 grant for their school, awarded by Nordson. Also be crowned champion of our 55th season of Academic Challenge. So let's start this morning where we start every Saturday morning with our lightning round. All 3 teams compete in this round. We award 20 points for a correct answer. We subtract 20 points for an incorrect or no answer. The match is going to start with each team with 100 points. Everybody ready to roll? Let's get down to business. See what you know about the business world. Identify the following. This animal is associated with a rising stock market. Shaker Heights.
Bull.
That is correct. Founded in the 17th century London, it is still a major insurance consortium. Answer, Lloyd's of London. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin founded this, Shaker Heights.
Google.
That is correct. In this 1906 novel, Upton Sinclair exposed the meatpacking industry, Shaker Heights.
The Jungle.
That is correct. Gina Raimondo heads this business-oriented cabinet department. Shaker Heights?
Commerce.
That is correct. It was in 2020 that this industrial average first closed over 30,000. Answer, Shaker Heights?
Dow Jones.
That is correct. He is the founder of Amazon. Shaker Heights?
Jeff Bezos.
That is correct. This leading daily journal is named for New York's financial district. St. Ed's.
Wall Street.
That is correct. Co-founder of Facebook. He is now CEO of Meta. Shaker Heights.
Zuckerberg.
That is correct. For our final lightning round question, here is Mr. Dennis Berry, the acting director of the Crawford Auto and Aviation Museum.
We have a wonderful collection of cars and planes at the Crawford Auto Aviation Museum. And one of our oldest automobiles is a 1915 Model T, built by what automaker?
Shaker Heights.
Ford.
Ford is correct. A heck of an opening round. They call it the lightning round for a reason. We'll be back with more of the 55th season of the Nordson Academic Challenge right after this.
Nordson is honored to sponsor a program that celebrates academic excellence. We're a global industrial technology company with a long and proud history of giving back to the communities where we live and work. We donate 5% of our U.S. pre-tax profits to charity every year. Over the past 30 years, the Nordson Corporation Foundation has donated more than $100 million, and our employees have volunteered more than 100,000 hours. And now, we're pleased to support the legacy of Academic Challenge. Thank you all for watching, and the best of luck to all the participants.
Welcome back to the Nordson Academic Challenge. If you'd like more information about any of the schools that appear this season, scan the QR code you see there on the upper right-hand corner of your screen with your cell phone. That code takes you to news5cleveland.com's Academic Challenge page. We have links for all of this season's school websites right there. Time for us now to play Hot Picks. One at a time, I ask each team 8 questions. A correct response here is worth 20 points. No penalty for a wrong answer. Any team answering all 8 questions correctly will receive 25 bonus points. Before we get to the questions, let us meet our teams. Cuyahoga Falls, Noah, you're the captain. Congratulations. What do we need to know about you?
Hi, at the high school, I am the president of the Gender and Sexuality Alliance, and I also am in the marching band drumline.
Busy, busy, busy. Thank you for being here this morning. Hi, Abby.
Hello, I'm in marching band, Tiger Crew, and GSA, and I'm a junior, and in college I plan on studying biomedical.
Awesome, and we welcome you here this morning. Hi, Spider.
Hi, I'm a junior, I'm on the bowling team, and I'm in Interact, Sources of Strength, and Tiger Crew.
Good for you, and we welcome all 3 of you here this morning. Samuel, you are the captain of the Shaker Heights team. You get to pick the first questions. Envelope 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Envelope 3, please.
3, you got it. Okay, Cuyahoga Falls, these questions are just for you. All set? Here we go. Although former presidents don't always get along, 4 of our chief executives hadn't had a single argument since they were carved on what South Dakota mountain?
Mount Rushmore?
Of course it is. Before the availability of audiobooks, blind people were able to read using what raised dot system named for the Frenchman who created it?
Braille.
That is correct. In 1999, Canada created a new territory called Nunavut from what older territories with a directional name?
Northern provinces.
The Northwest Territories. Sorry. Let's go to the monitor. Here's your science question. In a cave, stalactites and stalagmites are formed by the decomposition of calcium bicarbonate into water, carbon dioxide, and which of these?
Feldspar.
Calcium carbonate is the answer there. We move on. Had you been a member of the Erfurt University's class of 1505, your classmates would have included what man who started the Protestant Reformation with his 95 Theses?
Martin Luther.
That is correct. According to the title of an Ernest Hemingway story, you'd expect to find snows on what highest African mountain?
Kilimanjaro.
That is correct. Back to the monitor. Here is your math question. What is the positive value of this expression, giving your answer as an integer?
36.
36 is correct. What 31st president saved millions of people from starvation before and after World War II and was nominated 5 times for the Nobel Peace Prize?
Roosevelt.
Herbert Hoover is the answer there, but nice round, Cuyahoga Falls. There you go. All righty. Our second team today comes to us all the way from Shaker Heights. Samuel, you're the captain. Tell us about Samuel.
I'm a senior. I play the mellophone in the marching band, and I am in German club.
Awesome. Welcome this morning. Hi, Patrick.
I'm a senior. I'm the consul of Latin Club, and I row.
You row, and you're back for a second year.
Yes.
There you go. Welcome. Hi, Adam.
I'm a senior. I'm in Latin Club in the student group on race relations, and I want to major in computer science in college.
Awesome. Welcome to all three of you. For your questions, we go to St. Edward's Captain Sean. Sean, envelope 1, 2, or 4?
1.
1. Okay, Shaker Heights, a reminder, these questions are just for you. All set? Here we go. In 1859, the French acrobat Blondin created a sensation by walking a tightrope across the gorge formed by what waterfalls on the U.S.-Canadian border?
Niagara Falls.
That is correct. Among the major archaeological finds of the 1950s was a frozen mummy discovered near the crest of what highest South American mountain range?
The Andes.
That is correct. Botanist Luther Burbank was influenced by a book called Variation of Plants and Animals by what same English naturalist who had written Origin of Species?
Darwin.
That is correct. Let's go to the monitor. Here is your science question. If a molecule of a substance contains 2 atoms joined together, the molecule is which of these?
Diatomic.
That is correct. When the first transatlantic cable was laid in 1858, President Buchanan exchanged cordial greetings with what British queen?
Victoria.
That is correct. On their list of books that everyone should read, British librarians included what 1960 Harper Lee novel whose characters include Atticus Finch?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
That is correct. We go back to the monitor. Here's your math question. We ask you to solve for x.
64.
64 is correct, and that was big. This is for the bonus points. Though facial hair is popular with men today, the last president to have a mustache was what 27th chief executive?
Ted Roosevelt.
William Howard Taft is the answer there, but nice round, Shaker Heights. There we go. All righty. Our third team today comes from St. Edward. Sean, you're the captain. Congratulations on that. Tell us about Sean.
I'm a junior. I'm a part of the varsity baseball team, and I volunteer with Youth Challenge.
Awesome. Awesome. Welcome this morning. Hi, John.
Hello. My name is John. I'm a clarinet section leader for the St. Edward Marching Eagles, and one of my favorite hobbies is playing chess.
Awesome. Okay, Riley, you're up.
Hi, I'm a sophomore. I run track, and I'm a part of the yearbook committee.
Awesome. All 9 of you, thank you so much for being here. You're all so busy, and we appreciate everything you're doing. I hope you have time to go to class and all that stuff too, right? Thank you very much for being here. All right, St. Ed's, your questions. Noah, you get to pick here. We're left with envelope 2 or 4?
We'll take 4.
4. It's a big choice. It's a big decision. Here we go. St. Ed's, just yours. Set? Ancient Greeks, seeking favors from the goddess Hecate, made offerings of what sweet substance beloved by Winnie the Pooh?
Honey.
Yes, it is. The Dixie National Forest is not in the South, but in what western state where the Mormons settled?
Utah.
That is correct. Winston Churchill gave his famous Iron Curtain speech in 1946 at a Midwest college, which shares its name with what famous London Abbey?
Road.
Westminster is the answer there, Westminster Abbey. That's okay, let's go to the monitor. Here is your science question. If you analyze the metals in Earth's crust, you could accurately state that which of these is the most abundant?
Aluminum.
That is correct. What poet was well versed in bureaucratic jargon during the time he worked as a government clerk while writing Leaves of Grass?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Walt Whitman is the answer. Karate was first developed on what O-initialed Pacific island that the United States returned to Japan in 1972? Answer is Okinawa. Okinawa. We go back to the monitor. Here is your math question. We ask you to simplify completely this expression.
3x minus 24.
That is correct. We would also have accepted negative 24 plus 3x. All right. William Jennings Bryan lost 2 elections in a row to what Republican, who became our 25th president?
Harrison.
William McKinley is the answer there. Good round, St. Ed's. That's the end of that round. We are off and running. We'll be back with more academic excitement right after this.
And sewer.
This morning's judge and adjunct nursing instructor at Cuyahoga Community College. We welcome Aaron Hillman. Aaron, thanks for being with us this morning. Thanks for everything you do. We sure do appreciate it. And we welcome you back to the Nordson Academic Challenge. Before we start our next round, let's take a quick look at the scores. 400, 200, 200. Now we get to the picture perfect round. Every answer here is worth 20 points. But for a wrong answer or no answer, we take away 20 points. Again, this is for all 3 teams. So we're going to put our hands on our buzzers, eyes on the monitor. Everybody ready? Here we go. You're looking at Thomas Hill's 1889 painting of Vernal Falls in what California national park? Shaker Heights.
Yellowstone.
Yosemite. Yosemite is the answer. The American Dental Association would applaud this statement made back in the 18th century by what author of Gulliver's Travels? Shaker Heights.
Swift.
That is correct. This Currier and Ives lithograph of West Point gives you a lovely view of what river on which? Shaker Heights.
Hudson.
That is correct. What is the slope of this line? St. Ed's.
2x.
2/3. 2/3. It was reported that John Brown paused to kiss a baby while being led to execution for leading a raid on the federal arsenal at what West Virginia town? Shaker Heights.
Harper's Ferry.
That is correct. This is the chemical formula for what alkaloid, a mild stimulant found in coffee and tea? Cuyahoga Falls.
Caffeine.
That is correct. Wole Soyinka, winner of the 1986 Nobel Literature Prize, had been in prison for several years in his native country. What nation whose capital is Abuja? Shaker Heights.
Nigeria.
That is correct. Cleveland Magazine offers up a delicious meal on the cover of this edition, and though we don't know this chef's eyeglass prescription, we do know that the bifocals were invented by which founding father, St. Edward?
Franklin.
That is correct, and that's a quick round. There we go. Don't go anywhere. Our exciting grab bag round, which will determine today's winner, that's still coming, but we mixed it up after this. Welcome back. Time now to welcome today's school advisors from Cuyahoga Falls. It's Thomas Williams from Shaker Heights, Nathaniel Shue, and Ashley Ventura is here from St. Edward. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Thanks for bringing the kids. Thanks for everything you do. All right, time now to mix it up. One at a time, I ask each team 6 questions. A correct response here is worth 20 points. No penalty here for a wrong answer. Any team answering all 6 questions correctly will receive 25 bonus points. Cuyahoga Falls, you're up first. All set? Here we go. You'll earn points without switching umpires if you can find hidden in this phrase the name of what alcoholic drink that was part of the triangle trade. Answer is rum, R-U-M. A decision that is inequitable can best be described by which of these adjectives?
Unfair.
That is correct. This is not right. Eliminate one word, make this Ray Bradbury title correct. What word would you eliminate?
Squared.
That is correct. To complete this tasty quote from Jane Austen, add what fruit that John Chapman planted around our country?
Apples.
That is correct. Which of these illnesses is caused by a dietary deficiency?
Scurvy.
Scurvy, yes. In the Iliad, this defiant remark is made by the priest Laocoon, who is suspicious of what large wooden gift the Greeks have left at the gates of Troy.
Horse.
Horse is correct, and that's your round. Way to go, Cuyahoga Falls. Nicely done. All righty, Shaker Heights, you're up next. These questions all yours. All set? Here we go. Study this sentence, and you'll find the hidden last name of what 16th century English sea dog who sailed on the Golden Hind.
Drake.
Drake is correct, Sir Francis Drake. Someone who is culpable should receive which of these?
Blame.
That is correct. Not quite here. Eliminate one word, make this Stephanie Meyer title correct. What word would you eliminate?
Face.
That is correct. You can complete this line from Emily Dickinson with what virtue, the opposite of falseness, that goes marching on in the battle hymn of the Republic?
Truth.
That is correct. Which of these is not a halogen element?
Toluene.
Toluene is correct, and that was big. This is for the bonus points. These were the words of one expert of what board game where strategy involves pieces like kings, queens, and bishops?
Chess.
Chess is correct for the bonus points. There you go. Okie dokie. Our third team today, St. Edward. All set? These questions, again, all yours. Here we go. Hidden here is the last name of what able young man who explored the Louisiana Territory with William Clark?
Lewis.
That is correct. If I were to give you some commiseration, I would be offering you which of these?
Gratitude.
Sympathy. Sympathy is the answer. This does not look quite right. Eliminate one word. Make this title correct. What word do you get rid of?
Amusement.
Of course you do. You can complete this quote from poet Omar Khayyam by adding what percussion musical instrument that can be kettle or bongo?
Drum.
That is correct. Of these three common household items, which one contains nitrogen?
Ammonia.
That is correct. This is the moral from the story of the wolf in sheep's clothing, one of the fables of what ancient Greek slave? Answer?
Odysseus.
Aesop. Aesop's fables. Nice round, everybody. All right, we'll be back with our final and deciding grab bag round. It's coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Nordson Academic Challenge. Before we continue, let's recap the scores right now. In third place with 280 points, the team from St. Ed's. In second place with 320 points is Cuyahoga Falls. Leading the way right now with 605 points, the team from Shaker Heights. But hold on, time for the grab bag round. This is another free-for-all. Each correct answer here is worth 30 points, but you will lose 30 points for a wrong answer or no answer. Again, this is for all three teams. So hands on the buzzers, eyes on the monitor when we need it. All set, deep breath, here we go. For a lion to remain king of beasts, he needs what majestic quality? A word that, St. Ed?
Mane.
Pride, pride. A 6,000-mile high geyser has been spotted on St. Ed's. Had to take it, you buzzed in, sorry. Webb telescope is the answer there. In addition to the Olympic Games, the Greeks held a special women's competition in honor of what goddess, the equivalent of the Roman Juno? Shaker Heights.
Hera.
That is correct. This is Cézanne's painting of a house on what M-initialed French river that also names two World War I battles? Answer is the Marne. Take Me Home was one of the last stories published by what now deceased science fiction writer, author of The Martian Chronicles. Shaker Heights.
Bradbury.
That is correct. What is 10% of 90% of 100? St. Ed's.
9.
That is correct. 8-year-old James Phipps made medical history in 1796 when Dr. Edward Jenner vaccinated him against what disease? Shaker Heights.
Polio.
Smallpox. Smallpox. This was the comment of what 20th century American composer who, with his brother Ira, created the musical Porgy and Bess? Cuyahoga Falls.
Bernstein.
Gershwin. Gershwin is the answer there. There's our buzzer. We go right to the scoreboard. A heck of a morning here. In third place with 250 points is the team from St. Edward. In second place with 290 points, the team from Cuyahoga Falls. And the winner of today's academic challenge with a robust 635 points is the team from Shaker Heights. Be sure to be with us next week. We've got teams from Beechwood, Maple Heights, and Normandy. They will be here. We hope you are too. I am Rob Powers. Thanks for being with us. I'll see you right back here next week.